Here we are once again at the house of the spirit named Jorj. I wonder what he and his friends are up to today.
Oh boy, I love it when you make sandwiches, Sproing.
My sandwiches can't be beat. Speaking of beat, can you beat the equation 3 times 2?
Oh man, this is harder than yesterday. Is it 20?
Yo, did I hear some hip math equations in this place, sir?
Yes, we are solving the equation.
Yeah. I already got it, Daddy-o. Is it 6 if I'm correct?
Ding, ding, ding. Correct. How did you know?
Well, I'll tell you after we take a break to thank our sponsors.
This episode was brought to you by our sponsor, Pop Soda. In fact, on specially marked caps of Pop Soda, up to 20 kids can come to meet Jorj and his friends themselves. Warning. If anything bad happens during the trip at Jorj's house, Cow-a-Sockie Inc. is not liable for any harm. Many will enter this event, and few will win.
I was a lot younger than I currently am, and I was lucky enough to obtain a winning bottle cap from the sweepstakes. I could not believe my luck, going to the Jorj house and hanging there to see the set and stuff. Maybe I could even meet the actors for Jorj, Sproing, and Kile, as they could possibly be cool people to talk to about the show. The bus ride was nothing but a loud mess, and I could tell you how happy I was to get the heck out of there and onto solid ground. The other kids, obviously young and stupid, were seemingly hyped up on sugar and immediately started touching everything. Not even 3 minutes into the house, and the garage door opener was already destroyed. All of the kids were busy messing around in the kitchen making sandwiches, so I decided to get some fresh air outside, and that was when I met him. It was a powered-down Sproing, on the right side of the house. Confused, I decided to power him on. "Thanks," he said, and then he gave me a stupidly easy math puzzle to solve. I quickly solved it and asked him if he was real and not some actor. Sproing turned his head in confusion and asked me what would make them not seem real on the show. I had no idea how to respond. I said sorry, and that was when another kid came out of the house and saw the robot. He yelled for his friends, and soon all the kids were climbing around him, making him uncomfortable. Obviously overstimulated, he said that Kyle was waiting in the lake behind the house, and Jorj was relaxing on the deck to the left of the house. Kyle was as cool as he was on the show, but he was a bit haphazard, which made me want to see what Jorj was like. I walked to the deck and saw some kids walking away from Jorj, saying that they wished he could be more fun. I walked up on the deck and saw that it was only Jorj and I there. "Hey," he said, a bit sad. "The kid said I was a bit boring and left." He sipped some of his tea that he had and wondered what I thought of him. I told him he was perfect to talk to, as the noise levels with the other guys were a bit rough on my ears. He laughed and we talked for a bit. I could not tell you how weird it was that the guys were not people in costumes, but they were still actors, for sure. Jorj, while being the dummy in the show, was much smarter in real life. He and I conversed for what seemed like hours, talking about random subjects, our lives, etc. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Jorj asked if I could keep a secret. I told him I could, and he told me that he was never supposed to eat a fish called carp. Considering the way that he said it, he probably never saw a carp, let alone tasted it. I was a little bit confused, but I kind of understood the situation and did not press further. We talked further, and soon I realized that it was almost nighttime, and it was even snowing a bit. I thought back to the sweepstakes and realized that it never told us how long we were supposed to stay, so I didn't pack anything, and I didn't have my phone to call my mom for her to pick me up. I told Jorj the situation, and he panicked a bit, telling me that he would even go as far as to drive me home if necessary. However, our talk was abruptly stopped by a mother who was probably there to pick up her kid. She looked really mean and spoke with a sneer. "Here's a treat for taking care of my son," she said, handing him something. Jorj was confused. He opened a bag that was given to him and pulled out a fish. A bad feeling rushed over me. It was totally a carp. There was no way it could not be a carp. I was going to shout at Jorj not to eat it, but the morbid curiosity of wondering what could happen came over me, and I remained quiet. "Eat it now!" she said as she stamped her foot on the ground. Jorj looked at me with a concerned face, and I gave one back. He was seemingly pushed into a rough spot. He gave one more look at the fish, and ate it right in front of her. At first, nothing seemed to change, but then he slowly walked up to the woman, grabbed her by the arms, and threw her right into a portal leading to hell. Screams broke around the house, and I knew I needed to get in that house and board up the doors to save myself and anyone else in danger. I jumped off the deck and made my way to the back of the house where some bikes were being kept. Without hesitation, I rode one to the other side of the house in order to get into the garage that way. During my trek, I could see Kile's lake, and there was Kile, seemingly possessed looking. His arms were in the water, and near them were a load of bubbles. He was drowning the kids that were playing with him moments before. I swallowed and held back tears of fear before finally making it to the garage. I saw Sproing there, and his pathetic confetti launcher that was once used to show congratulations was now a terrible laser gun that was cleaving through some of the other kids. I jumped to the garage and tried the door. It was jammed. If only those stupid kids didn't break the garage door opener. I had to think fast, faster than I ever could. There must be some way into the house. There must... My thinking was stopped by the red that came flying out of my chest. Sproing shot right through me. I vividly remember seeing pieces of my sternum fly right out of my body and onto the newly red grass. All I could see was red at that point. I turned around and raged at Sproing and leapt at him. I could only take one measly step towards the rust bucket, though, and that was when he aimed his arm one final time.